Hello, I'm Jack and this is Entertainment World, and today I'll be talking about Moon Knight Episode 3. And like with my previous two videos on the previous two episodes of Moon Knight, I was just talking about things in detail in terms of what I thought was good, each thing about the episode. There obviously will be spoilers, which things I didn't like so much about it, things I did like about it. So anyway, talking about that, just wanted to say really quickly though, I am very sorry about how long these videos have taken. I know I'm very late, and I know I'm also very late with my Morbius / Sony's Universe, whatever it's called, video, as well as the scene talking about the Joker deleted scene from the Batman. I know I'm very late with those videos. I'm sorry about that, but I've had a rough week, and I do say I want to do this more, and I want to pick up the pace and things like that, and I do mean that. Basically, what will just happen is I'm trying to sort of go at the pace that my mental health allows, and I'll have a few days where I'm good and I'm motivated and ready to do this, and then I'll have a really bad day, or other things will get to me or something, and because I don't obviously want to go into it on here, so thank you for understanding that. And then I just don't really want to do anything for a week, and I don't really know how to pull myself out of that when I get into that state. I'm working on it though, so I do hope to be able to, if it gets to that point again in future, I am able to go, no Jack, film this, get ready to do more of these. You enjoy doing that, you enjoy getting it uploaded and done. So anyway, yeah, thank you for understanding that. So talking about now, and I will be filming this video now, but maybe have to film the rest of it tomorrow because I am going out later, and I probably will be getting drunk. So if I don't get it finished, I don't really want to be filming it after that today. Although that could be quite interesting, me filming a Moon Knight Episode 3 review whilst drunk. But yeah, I'm not going to do that, sorry. But yes, so I will be talking about this episode now. So, like the first episode, this is directed by Mohammed Diab. I think I'm saying that right, and I hope I'm saying that right. It was written by Bill DeMaio, Peter Cameron, and Sabir Pizada. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not saying that right, I do apologise. I'll put the names there just in case. But yeah, sorry if I'm pronouncing that horribly. Obviously, it's the third episode, and with the first episode, I loved it. Didn't have many criticisms of it at all. The second episode, I really enjoyed it, although I felt like it was starting to go into that more typical MCU sense of humour and feel a bit weakened in the first one. Although, like I said, I did enjoy it still. And now I'm going to talk about this episode, which thus far is my favourite episode. I've also got episode 4 to talk about. So sorry about that, because obviously everything's late, but so far this episode has been my favourite. I really enjoyed this episode. I love how it starts with Layla. The opening is with Layla, and she's getting a fake ID passport to be able to go to Cairo, because at the end of the last episode, which I don't think I talked about this bit specifically, so with them losing, but yes, sorry, Mark, Stephen, Khonshu, Moon Knight, the whole gang in one body, lost the Scarab to Arthur Harrow, which will lead him to Amit, which obviously is his god, the one he's the avatar for. So he's gone to Egypt to find her tomb, and Mark's already gone there, which is shown in the end of the last episode, which I did talk about that specifically. She wants to go there with him, and because obviously the whole thing going on where he's trying to keep away from her, so Khonshu doesn't use her as an ex-avatar, he left without her, so she's having to find her own way back to Cairo. So she's here, getting her fake ID, fake passport, and she obviously knows this woman who is the forger of these documents, and they obviously have a personal history because she knows her dad. Well, she knew her dad when the dad was still alive, because the dad's dead, and she knows her quite well, talks about her family history. I don't know exactly what their relationship is, but I am so glad we got to see more of Layla, and a scene dedicated to Layla just by herself. I thought that was a really good thing to actually make her a character and not just like an accessory to the whole Stephen Mark Moon Knight thing going on. Make her own character, give her own bit of good backstory. The only problem is, because I don't know what her relationship with this woman really is, like is she a mother figure, an aunt figure, a grand figure, a friend figure, because it's sort of like that old grumpy, I care about you, but I think you're a little shit sort of attitude from the woman making the documents. Or at least that's what I got from her anyway. So I'm not fully sure what her relationship is, because she does mention, like, I care about you, and, you know, what, be safe, and all of these things, but it's after, like, fuck you, you're annoying. So, I'm just sort of trying to figure out what their relationship is exactly, and it does lead to a bit of a question, especially because she doesn't show up, the woman making the documents doesn't show up at all later on in the episode, so I am curious to what their relationship actually fully is, or is she just like a really close family friend. But either way, even though it did leave some questions, I'm glad that they've given her more of a backstory than just, oh, Mark's a strained archaeologist, jewelry, sort of like Tomb Raider wife. Like, I'm glad they gave her more of a backstory than that. It then does the big Marvel Studios thing, which it always does, and then it cuts to Mark chasing some of the members of Arthur Harrow's cult across rooftops in Egypt, which is exactly what in the scene previous Layla said he would do, run around Cairo trying to get himself killed. So it cuts to him running around Cairo trying to get himself killed, and he's trying to basically interrogate them to find out where Arthur Harrow is. And he catches up to them, and there's a bit of a fight. Now, it was quite an interesting fight, and there was quite a few cool stunts and knife work. I know, apparently, that the guy who does the knife fighting, the member of the cult, the actor, the stunt guy who plays him, is quite famous for his knife skills in film, specifically in the film Taken. But in this film, I did feel like it was a bit choppily edited. I think the stunts were cool, but I do think it cut quite a lot, so it didn't feel like you could get the full view of it. You know, had it been a one cool long take, that would have been amazing. But I feel like Oscar Isaac did his own stunts, and because he did his own stunts, and they cut a lot, it sort of hindered the stunts, what the actual stunt performers were doing, due to the fact, because they were like redoing takes, so Oscar Isaac could probably keep up with it. I don't know about that, but that's what it looked like. And there was a lot of like punching sound effects, and you could tell that they weren't fully hitting them, and when, you know, Mark was punching him in the face, there was no blood, which usually I would expect from an MCU property. However, Moon Knight up until this point hasn't been that scared of showing violence, so I was a little bit disappointed that he didn't have some blood on his knuckles, or a guy didn't have some like bloody nose, broken teeth, or anything like that. I get the feeling they might have done, and Disney were like, no, you can't do that, because Disney have censored, at least at the time being, and I don't know if they've undone it, some of the episodes of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where what was originally quite violent has now become actually kind of silly looking. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that was one of those things. If that is the case, I do hope they put the blood in, and even if it wasn't the case, you could still CGI some blood in, because I do think that would make the fight better and more realistic than punching somebody in the face like 6 times, and the guy's face nor his fist have any signs of him making any contact whatsoever, and if he did punch him 6 times without there being any signs of any contact whatsoever, that means he's throwing shit punches, and something tells me about Mark Spector that isn't the case, and you wouldn't be doing that. So I don't know, but either way, the fight had some cool things, like I said, with the knife work and the stunts, but I did think it was a bit underwhelming compared to what the series had done previously. Although I do like it when he's about to, hurt them, and then Steve, he's like gonna get the information out, and then he blacks out, and he's in a taxi. And I love how it's the opposite. Like in the first episode, it was from Steven's perspective, and every time he blacked out, he would then wake up somewhere else, and things would be different. And that's because Mark did things off screen. I like how they switched that round. So like Mark's done something, so now Steven is the one doing things off screen, or is it? Because later, I'll talk about that in a second. But he's in a taxi, and I love when he's like, "Let me out," and he starts speaking Egyptian. "Let me out. What's going on?" And the taxi driver's like, "Why were you acting like a tourist a minute ago?" So I'm guessing that was Stephen, probably from the tourist aspect, and that he's like innocent. I don't know if he speaks Egyptian. Probably does. But then again, it implies that he doesn't, so it might not have been Stephen. I don't know. But yeah, acting like a tourist now. He's gone back to acting like secret government agent, hitman, crazy person. He runs out and sees the people again, chases after them, and they're like, "You let us go. What's going on? And what the hell? Why are you now chasing after us again?" They knock him out, and he lands on the floor, and then it does the sort of like changing personality thing again, and he wakes up. Now, I did love this bit in terms of violence. He's covered in blood, and the other guy's covered in blood, and the other guy then falls back because he's just been stabbed by Mark, and Mark's now holding this really long bloodied knife. I fucking love that, because I was like, yes, that's what I want from this. That's cool. Well done, Marvel. Thank you, Kevin Feige, for, trying to keep your word a bit. I'm really happy with that. Thank you. That was dark. That was brutal. I loved it. And I love that he's like, what just happened? What's going on? What happened, Stephen? What the hell did you do, Stephen? And Stephen's like, I didn't do this. And I think it's fairly obvious that Stephen didn't do that, because Stephen doesn't know how to fight, really, let alone would murder like 3 people with a knife. So, yeah, it was fairly obvious that it wasn't Stephen, which is the implication that we're finally going to get Jake Lockley. Now, I don't know a huge amount about Jake Lockley in the comics. I know he's a streetwise taxi driver who gets quite a lot of information, but I don't know if he is really the kind of guy who would stab 3 people with a knife quite brutally. So I don't know if, like with Stephen Grant, they're making changes, because Stephen Grant was sort of like this Bruce Wayne type rich person, whereas in the comics, he is a guy who worked in a museum gift shop. So yeah, there's quite a big change. So I don't know if they're making changes to Jake Lockley as well. Wouldn't surprise me, but if they do, I'll be certainly interested to see what they are. But at this moment in time, the episode, if this is actually Jake Lockley, has implied that he is quite violent and isn't afraid to quite viciously murder people. So I'm interested to see him if they do bring him into the show, and I hope they do. Anyway, that was great, and I love that it never really resolves the issue. Okay, who did that? Or at least not in this episode anyway. I don't know if they will in the future, as I said, but at this moment in time, haven't resolved that. So yeah, I did think that was great, and I love when there's that one guy left, the young guy, and Khonshu tells Mark, take him to the edge, he'll talk. So Mark does take him to the edge because he wants the information, holds him off the cliff by his tie, and he's like, tell me where Arthur is, tell me where he is, where is he going? And the young guy just says, praise Zamet, and then cuts his tie and then falls to his death off the cliff. Which, again, for Marvel, is really fucking dark, and it is quite horrible, but what I love is then the dark sense of humour where Khonshu leans over and goes, oh, I really thought you would talk. That's like Deadpool humour. I love that. That was great. Whereas a bit like, oh, it's a bit of a dodgy opening. I was like, nope, that just made up for everything so far. I was really happy with that. And just so you know, before I go into context, I watched this episode a while ago, and I don't have time to watch them again, so I'm sorry if I do get things wrong. I am going by memory. So yeah, this is probably not like the best thing I could have done regarding reviewing it, but I do remember it. But I'm just trying to say, if I do get something wrong or forget a detail, anything like that, please do forgive me. But yes, and then they're like, what do we do? How do we deal with this? We don't know where he is. We don't know where he's going. Also, I can't believe I forgot this. Before it's Mark running on the rooftops, it actually cuts to Arthur Harrow finding the... see, I did forget something immediately. Finding Amit's tomb in a very sort of biblical way, or in sort of like looks like a scene out of Indiana Jones, like the Last Crusade or something like that, or Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I love that, and I love that this episode starts off with the bad guys being way in the lead. I did like that. That was a good thing. And as much as I didn't like episode 2 compared to the first episode, I did love the ending on a dark note, which Arthur has basically got the thing he needed to find Amit. He releases Amit. It's all going to go very, shit. So, go very to shit. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to say those things. So I praised episode 2 for that, and I should have done when I did the video. And I praise this for, starting off on a bad note for the heroes in a way. I did like that. And then Khonshu's like, we need an audience with the gods. Makes the eclipse to show the audience, and he says, to have an audience with the gods is to face their wrath. So he then gets taken into, this portal opens, and he goes in, Mark goes in, because he's Khonshu's avatar, so he's like taking him there, he's his representative, and he goes to this chamber, which has all the other gods in it. I don't know their names, I'm not going to try pronouncing them, but I'm going to put them here, so on what they are. This god, that god, that god, that god, that god, whatever they're called, there you go, have fun with it. Sorry about that. But he goes there and has a conversation with one of the avatars. Hathor, I believe is the goddess of the sky, has a conversation with her and her avatar Yatzil. I don't know if that's correct. Sorry if I'm getting that all wrong again. Sorry, I don't know. I apologise. Mark has a conversation with Yatzil, and he's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Go along with this. Are we okay? Also, don't resist the this what's about to happen, which is later revealed in a minute to be, Khonshu basically taking over the body and speaking through Mark. But so don't resist it." And it turns she then shows Hathor and Khonshu have had a relationship before, had a romantic relationship, which apparently ties into Egyptian mythology, which I will be honest, I don't know a lot about. The only thing I've ever had to do with Egyptian mythology was I read the first half of the book by Rick Riordan of his Egyptian series, and I don't even remember what it was called. I should have remembered it, because I read all the Percy Jackson books. I started reading, because I read them all in the chronological order, except I read one out of order, which was the Gods one, which I didn't really like. I thought that was his worst book I read. But, I didn't finish it, sorry. But yes, sorry, that what I'm just trying to say is I don't know an awful lot about Egyptian mythology. That's as far as my knowledge goes. I don't really remember the book. I don't even remember what it was called, and I didn't finish it. So I should have finished it. I should go back to those books one day. That's very off topic. Oh, by the way, very happy for the people, Percy Jackson being greenlit on Disney Plus. I am looking forward to that, because I love the Percy Jackson books, so I'm really excited for that. Anyway, sorry for the ramble. Sorry. Anyway, and basically, he then makes his plea to the gods that Arthur Harrow, his former avatar, is worshipping Amit, who has been imprisoned by the gods, and to, released upon the world for judgment. He's trying to make that case. And they're like, "No, Khonshu, you're a crazy fucking lunatic, shut up. You're being a dick. That is not true. Hey, fuck you, Khonshu." They clearly don't like Khonshu, because they don't want to be involved with humanity. Because they say humanity doesn't pray to us, so, they've abandoned us, so we'll abandon them. Which is a very flawed logic from a god, because surely if you want people to pray to you, you would prove you exist. You wouldn't go, "Well, fuck you, then hide. How dare you not pray to me? We're going to go in hiding for a few thousand years. You better start praying to us again." I don't understand that logic. I don't think it's a very good logic. It's not a very clever move, because if I want somebody to, if I want to prove I exist to people, I wouldn't, lock myself in a room. Obviously, I wouldn't do that for a few thousand years, because I'd just be dead, but you get my point. I wouldn't lock myself in a room to the point where I became a fucking myth that I ever existed in the first place. That is a very bad way to deal with trying to get your message out there. Whereas Khonshu's like, "No, we need to be involved." At least he wants to be involved. And he is clearly very involved. And the gods don't like it. And they don't like how propaganda he is. Like how promotional Khonshu is with his design. Because obviously his avatar wears a big moon costume. Has a crescent moon. Runs around at night, chucking crescent moon darts at people. He's clearly on the promotional side. He likes getting his image out. Whereas the gods are like, "No, Khonshu, stop that, you fucking dickhead." And they're like, "Wasn't Arthur Harrow your former avatar? Is there a personal motive here?" And Khonshu's like, "No." And they call Arthur Harrow to the stand. "Arthur Harrow, would you please speak? Would you speak your side of things?" So Arthur Harrow comes and he's like, "Hey, I remember what it was like being Khonshu's avatar. He was a paranoid, crazy person. And he has taken advantage of a sick man," referring to Mark, "to help, and is twisting him into doing what he wants." And the gods say, "Are you sick, Mark?" Mark admits he's sick. And Khonshu's like, "That hasn't got anything to do with anything." Basically, what it looks like to the gods is that Khonshu's just a paranoid lunatic who wants to create a problem to justify what he's doing. Is using a mentally, fragile man to help him as his avatar. Meanwhile, he's accusing his former avatar, who the gods know he has a personal dislike towards, as his scapegoat for this. It doesn't look very convincing, although I will say, from a realistic sort of plot standpoint or plot convenience, the gods do fuck all investigation into it. They're just like, seems, dodgy, Khonshu. Fuck you, Khonshu. Bye, Arthur. Say hi to your wife for me. It did sort of like, they didn't literally say that, but it did feel a bit like that, where it was like, yeah, sorry to bother you, Arthur. Please accept one of our free cupcakes. I was like, that. If I was being told that one of the former avatars of our most violent active god at the time being is trying to resurrect the really scary god which we imprisoned to take over the world and judge everybody and murder everybody that she or he don't deem worthy, probably will look into that a little bit more than just fuck you, Khonshu. They clearly don't like Khonshu. You really, really have to have a really personal vendetta with somebody for that to be brought to you and your first response be, shut up, bitch. So, yeah. Although they also say Khonshu, is like exposing them. Because obviously, like I said, with the whole fucking showmanship side of it. So they don't like him for that either. Arthur Harrow leaves and they're saying to Khonshu, alter the sun again, which is what he did to get their attention. Alter the moon, sorry. Alter the stars in any way, and we'll, imprison you as well in stone. Basically saying, if you're trying to expose us in such a way again, you're going to get the same treatment as Amit did. Again, their priorities seem to be all out of whack. But they're sort of like, that guy's supposedly going to release Amit. Fuck that, he's not doing that. We'll punish you the same way we did punish Amit if you continue your bullshit. You're not very clever, gods, are you? I don't want to be rude, but I don't like that whole thing fully relies on sort of like the fact that gods are just petty bullshitters. But in a lot of mythology, gods do seem to be petty bullshitters, so fuck knows. However, Hathor, after the council is adjourned, does go up. Well, the Avatar goes up to Mark and says, "Look, there was somebody who would know where Amit was. They did trust somebody with the information. Oh, that was like 2,000 years ago, but it will be in that person's tomb." And he says, "Thank you for the information." She tells him what tomb of what person. So that's nice of her. Very nice. Thank you, Hathor. Although it was pointed out in a new Rockstar video that she could have ulterior motives for doing that. I don't know if that's true or if that theory will pan out. If it does, fuck you, Hathor. But at this moment in time, thank you. So I do like that scene. It's just, again, like I said, my only problem with that is it just sort of do what, like I said, it just relies on the gods being like, yeah, fuck you, Khonshu. That wouldn't, if I, like I said, there was going to have a huge threat to everything, I wouldn't ignore it just to spite somebody. That doesn't seem like a very smart, godly thing to do. So, yeah. Well, it seems godly in the case of mythology sense, but you know what I mean. But I'm glad at that. I'm glad to see. What I like about that sort of thing is that it makes Khonshu more human. Because up until this point, he does come across as just a sadistic bastard. So saying he had a girlfriend and she's then helping him later on and taking his side, supposedly at least. That adds a human element to him opposed to just scary looking fucking Grim Reaper duck thing, which is kind of terrifying. So, yeah, I'm glad they added a bit of human element to him. Bumps into Layla and Cairo, and she knows the guy who owns the tomb, which encases the information about where Amit is. And it's a bit more of a backstory shown there, and she says, "What if you don't mean Cairo just because a few people get pissed off when they hear my name?" So I'm like, oh, that's quite interesting that we got a bit more about her. It doesn't explain why, but there's a few probable reasons why that would be the case. Anyway, and then them on a boat going to this guy's house. And they talk about their relationship, and she's like, why didn't you tell me about him, i.e. Stephen? And he's saying, because I had control of it for a while until something happened recently. It made me lose all control over it, which I probably believe is the when he got injured and Khonshu resurrected him and now he's Khonshu's avatar. I think that's probably what he's referring to. I think it's really safe to assume that. But it was nice to see a bit of their backstory, and it was nice to see that she's sort of hopeful and still wanting their relationship, whereas Mark really is trying to end it, although it hurts him and you can tell he doesn't want to. But he's like, yeah, it's too late for, reconciling now, isn't it? You can tell that he's in a lot of pain and he's struggling with this decision of what to do. I like that. I like that Marvel again weren't afraid to have this conversation. I like that they didn't leave it on a completely bleak note when the other people they're on the little boat with start dancing and playing music. So I was like, yeah, that's quite nice. It was quite a nice moment to have, and I'm glad that they slowed the episode down just so we could actually know more about these characters, because we haven't really had any interaction between Mark and Layla yet. We've had a lot between Stephen and Layla, but not a lot between Layla and Mark. And as they're the married couple with the history, I'm glad that the episode finally gave them time to just sit down, have a conversation, and let us, the audience, buy into their relationship more, their dynamic more, and their partnership more, opposed to just having to accept it the same way Stephen pretty much has to. So I did enjoy that. I'm glad they did that. And then eventually they arrive at the house. And now, I don't know a lot about this character. I know he's called Midnight Man in the comics as his alter ego, because he steals artifacts, and he likes to do it at the strike of midnight, and he just likes to do it for the sake of having them. He has no real gain to it. He's not doing it for a selfless thing, he's not Robin Hood. He just likes stealing shit so he has it. I'm going to check the name of the character. Anton Mogart. Now, again, there's something really tragic with this character. Or not this character, but there's something with itself, but surrounding this. Gaspar Ulliel, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry if I am. If I'm not saying it right, I'll put it there either way. He unfortunately passed away in a skiing accident before this episode came out. So unfortunately, this is pretty much the only time I'll get to see the character. He gives a good performance, and I'll say that before I talk about anything else. Sorry, really dry throat. Literally just started coughing really badly just then. Yeah, I'm not crying. Just literally started coughing as soon as I started to talk, which is why my voice went weird. I'm sorry. But unfortunately, he passed away. He was really good as the character in this really brief. So I haven't got to see him before I talk about the rest of it. But yeah, rest in peace, that's all I can say. Shout out to his family, but yeah, that was horrible what happened. But I'm glad we got to see him at least in this, doing this, even though it was a short time, playing the character in this episode. I'm glad we got to at least see that. Seriously, I'm not starting to sob on camera. That was literally because I just started coughing. Oh god. But yeah, it's just such a, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than rest in peace. Thank you for giving us this performance here, and best wishes to your family. But yeah, thank you. Rest in peace, man. So yes, I did end up going out, and yes, I did end up getting drunk. So yeah, this is filmed a few days later because, again, like I said, up and down thing, and I wasn't able to do it for a few days. Sorry, but I'm doing this now. Episode 5 has been released today, and I haven't watched it yet, and so I need to pick up the pace. So anyway, sorry about that. So they go to Midnight Man's party thing going on. He's got a collection of things, including the sarcophagus. I don't know if I said that or coffin. Either way, sarcophagus. Sorry if I said coffin earlier. They go to it because that's got the location. They view it. Mark and Layla go out to it, and Midnight Man, his guards, are looking at them, sort of wondering what they're doing. And Mark is trying to look at it, and he doesn't understand what any of it means. And he's got Stephen in their faction, let me take over, let me do, let me do this. And Layla's telling Mark, let Stephen take over. Mark's like, no, I won't, I refuse to. This is not what I want to do. I don't like it. I don't want that. And he's trying to tell Stephen, just tell me what to do. And Stephen's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You either let me take control, or you're not doing it. And eventually, Layla has to go and distracts the people. And Mark is like, come on, help me. And Stephen relents and tells him that these pieces of cloth inside the sarcophagus if you fold them together, will lead to a star map to where the tomb will create a star map, which will then lead them to where the tomb of Amit is, using the stars. So, Mark does that, but the Midnight Man notices and is not happy that he's playing around with his, collection. So, Midnight Man, is about to, shoot him and gets his guards to, pins him down and gets his guard to get ready to shoot him. And then Arthur Howard shows up, who Mark had thought had been following them earlier on when they were on the boat. He shows up and basically says, whatever they're offering you, I can offer you something much more substantial, real power, to prove for all these collections, all of these things you've collected over your entire life isn't just based around mythology and ideas, but actual truth and real gods and real deities and all of these things. I can prove to you that it's real. He uses his staff to give that little purple light, look how fucking cool I am thing going on. Khonshu is again appeared, again Mark Steven being the only one who can see him, and says, use the suit. Mark uses the suit, starts fighting, tells Layla to grab the pieces of cloth. There's this really cool fight scene which was sort of promoted a little bit in the trailer, but not a huge amount, or at least one of the trailer's TV spots. But it was a really great fight. This has been my favourite fight in the series so far. Quite violent. I love that they show that Moon Knight has a healing ability, because he keeps getting impaled with spears and things, but he's sort of walking it off. Steven takes control and goes back to being Psycho Colonel Sanders, also known as the MCU's version of Mr. Knight. Tells everybody to chill the fuck out, or chill the F out, and I love that they at least used the F word. And there's just a really cool fight going on with this whole thing. Basically, it's in this sand area, it looks like it's for horse racing, horse events, and they're all on horse, they're all chucking things at him, pinning him down, but he's doing a really good job at fighting them. Goes back to Mark, because Steven's just getting pummeled by spears. Mark beats the absolute living shit out of all of them. Apparently looks like he kills Midnight Man. I don't know if he does. He looks like he kills him with a crescent dart. Layla helps him escape. I love that whole sequence. That is my favourite action sequence so far, as I mentioned. It was really well shot. It was really cool to see more of Moon Knight's powers. It was great to, him to use his crescent darts. It was good to have them bounce between the two and their different ways of dealing with things, with Steven and Mark. Layla was having a bit of a fight, and it was cool to see them working together. So I love that whole sequence. I really did. They escape. They go into the desert. But earlier, when Arthur was showing his purple staff thing, he says to Layla, your husband's lying to you. You think keeping distance will help. You think, you know how to deal with your father's death, but you don't know the truth. You don't know what really happened. And Mark's like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, why don't you tell her the truth? Or is it because she'll see you the same way you see you? So I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. And obviously, in episode 2, the previous episode, it was revealed that Mark was at the very least involved with the death of a team of archaeologists, and her dad was an incredibly famous archaeologist, so it's implying something there which is not good at all. And when they're driving along together, she questions him about it, but he refuses to talk about it. They get to this location, but Mark eventually realises, I can't do this, I don't know what any of this means, so he lets Steven take control. And I love their reluctant partnership, because they do both have different strengths. Mark is confident, good with fighting. He's obviously skilled in combat and tactician and things like that, but he doesn't know anything about archaeology really, or anything to do with history on that sort of level. So I like that he lets Steven take over, who, even though is a lot weaker in the sense of he isn't a very good fighter, he doesn't really have any planning, he doesn't really know any of that sort of thing. He does know the subject matter at hand, so I like that they using that as a combination, and I like how this series deals with that in this episode. And it comes to probably my favourite scene in the series so far, where Khonshu, basically the stars, obviously because it's been thousands of years, the stars have moved. He's like, unless we know exactly what that night looked like back then, we don't know, we're not going to be able to find it. So Khonshu, with the help of Stephen Mr. Night, reverses the stars back that amount of time, because he says, I remember every night, which also could be alluding to his romantic past with... Oh fuck, what's her name? I'm going to check that again. Hathor, the goddess of the sky. So I was like, that's possibly, that's a nice tie-in. I don't know if that's true, because that is a theory, but in terms of their involvement. But that is, I do like that. That could be, that would be really cool if that is the case. They reverse the stars in a really, really cool sequence. The Khonshu tells Stephen, tell Mark to come find me, because he was told, to not interfere with the sky again, or the moon again, or stars again, or anything like that, to do something that big. He's in deep shit, so he gets entombed in stone, like Amit, and I don't know a lot about Egyptian mythology, I'll be honest. All I know is it was a little statue sort of thing, which he's been encased in, and they find the location for Amit's tomb. They've got the location, but Stephen passes out from the weight of it all, basically. It then cuts to Arthur Harrow being invited to the Temple of the Gods by the gods, and telling him, talking about what's just happened. And Arthur Harrow goes to the statue and goes on this really good sort of brag thing where he's like, just so you know, I want you to know your pain created me, what you did created me. I liked hurting people under your influence, and you've caused this. You've made me the way I am now, and I owe my victory to you. And it ends on that note. So it's sort of like, we've got the location, but Khonshu has been punished. We no longer have his powers because he's disappeared, so we're not his avatar anymore. And Arthur Harrow's gone on a big bragging spell, basically thanking Khonshu for creating him. Overall, I really did enjoy this episode. I love the emotional side of things with Layla and Mark, how you get to learn a bit more of their relationship. I love that you get to see Layla's background a bit, although it does cause more questions. But overall, I thought it was a nice addition. I like that you get to see a bit from Arthur Harrow's perspective and like him finding Amit's tomb. I like the action of... I know I had criticisms of the first action sequence, but I enjoyed the action sequence a lot. I like that we got to see more of both Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. I like that Mark and Steven finally had proper team working skills. I like that they added in other characters like Midnight Man and things like that into it, where you're like, okay, so we're building up the Rogues Gallery, the lore and stuff like that more. I like meeting the other gods. I thought the CGI was very good, especially when they did turn the stars back in time. I love that. There was a few nitpicks here and there, but overall I really enjoyed this episode. As an episode quality, I'm going to give it 8.75 out of 10. And entertainment quality, I'm going to give it 9.25 out of 10. Which is a very high score. I really did enjoy this episode. So yes, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I will edit this as quick as I can. And hopefully I'll have them all up soon. Sorry, yes, this is actually filmed after I started editing, so this is going to be a bit of a jump cut again, sorry. I just wanted to say again, I forgot to say, go watch the new Rockstars video if you want to see some of the more Easter eggs, hidden details, things like that, some of which are really cool. And also I recommend the Real Rejects reaction to said video by New Rockstars. I really enjoyed that whole thing, that's really great. And I just wanted to again highlight how much, one thing actually I forgot to mention, sorry I don't know, highlight something else. One thing I forgot to mention is when Mark and Layla are driving after having escaped from Midnight Man's sort of house area sort of thing. They're talking and Layla questions Mark about what did Arthur Harrow mean about his, Mark's involvement with her dad, what was he talking about, and Mark plays dumb, and I like that, because I like them, Layla having a bit of distrust towards Mark in that moment, and, well, obviously he's going to build up more and Mark obviously being too scared to tell her and how that affects him. I enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool to see, especially as earlier you actually saw the bonding, so I thought it was a good contrast to that. So I really enjoyed that aspect. And again, just when Khonshu and Stephen Grant as Mr. Knight were, reversing the stars, I just want to say that was just such a cool scene. It was one of the coolest scenes in the entire MCU, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I loved every second of that. Yeah, I really loved that scene. I thought it was great. I loved everything about it. But yeah, sorry, just wanted to add this in. It'll be a bit of a jumbled up, edit, I know, but yeah, I apologise for that. Anyway, wrapping up the video now with the rest of it, but yeah, thank you, sorry about this, thank you though. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next one. Thank you guys for watching, goodbye.